I bet today, right now, ditching an airplane is the farthest thing from your mind. 92% of ditchings have less than 1 minute of warning, 28% have less than 15 seconds, and oh, by the way, about 500 feet, you have less than 30 seconds before you're on the water. If you're high wing and you're fixed gear, you're invariably going to be flipping over, okay? So ditching an airplane is probably one of the few maneuvers, that we can't really practice or train for. But that doesn't mean you can wing it. If you want to survive, you have to be prepared. And the biggest hazards are energy dissipation on landing and temperature control. So what can we do to mitigate these risks or those risks that you're going to face? Don't forget our main objective. Our main objective is to stay alive. Everyone on the airplane comes out of this alive. That's the plan. You got to keep your eye on the prize, and you have to have the will to survive. Technically, we don't crash when we land on the water. We're doing a forced landing on the water. Don't stall the airplane. What I'd like to do now is actually hear from a couple of pilots who experienced ditching for real.
And then Christmas Island, Pango Pango, maybe Fiji and down into New Zealand. So then I just decided, yes, you're going in. 6, stowed everything I could and decided that on the way down, I would open the windows and the door. And then all of a sudden I just heard a tap, 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 tap. And that was it. Where it was 2 p.m, sunny day. I think the swells were maybe 2 feet and the winds were under 10 knots. So it was pretty much ideal playing in. My biggest fear was that if I stalled the airplane the least bit too high and you're not landing on a flat surface, I'd have no aileron control. One wingtip would probably drop lower than the other. One of the gear would hit and it would cartwheel. So I wanted to keep everything going straight ahead if possible. I had a 4-man life raft that I decided to put in my lap to use kind of like an airbag. And it had a lanyard you could pull out. And I tied that around my waist. Well, in order to have enough room to put it in my lap, I had to move my seat all the way back. So I couldn't reach the rudder pedals anymore. I couldn't see over the nose. I was too far back. I'm blind off the right. All I had was the left window. So there was no way I wanted to stall it in. So I decided to do a full flap landing just above the stall. That worked out really well. Once I hit the water, the mains hit and skipped and the nose hit and grabbed, and then it just flipped onto its back.
Yeah.
But everything went in a straight line. I did gray out from the deceleration. And I believe the windshield blew out because it was not a process of the water coming in. It was just an explosion. And I remember as it was pitching forward, I remember hearing myself go, and in that breath, I had water. It came to a rest about a 45-degree inverted angle. And the sensation I had was that it was sinking like a rock. So initially, there was this panic to get out. And I tried moving and I still had my shoulder harness on. So I ended that and noticed the raft was gone. Well, it had just gone out the door on impact, but I still had the lanyard, fortunately. But I knew there was a door on one side and a gas tank on the other. And so I just put my hands like this and started pushing, and this one hit the tank and this one hit the door. And I just started moving in that direction. I could tell through my closed eyelids that it was getting brighter. So I was probably underwater, maybe 15 seconds, I think, before I came up for air. The good thing about ditching a high wing airplane is with it upside down, now it's a low wing airplane. So yeah, I probably was able to get to air a lot faster than had it been a retractable and settled, because then I would have had to get out from underneath the wing. So I climbed up on the wing, and I had a Air Force issue life vest, the life preserver, and I pulled the tabs and nothing happened, which was a blessing. And I thought, well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Get the raft. So I pulled the lanyard, pulled the raft to me. I jumped into the water, dog paddled over to the raft, go through a lot of stages, you know, just sitting there. I hesitate to say you're in shock, but because I was functioning. It wasn't like I was comatose or anything, but your mind, your body knows you've been through a crisis. And so it load sheds and it gets rid of all the stuff you don't need to deal with at the time, just so you can stay alive. So I wasn't hungry. I wasn't thirsty. I was not emotional at all, which surprised me because I'm kind of an emotional person. And I was like, Heidi, you just ditched an airplane in the ocean. You should be like screaming or something. And, you know, just kind of neutral. And then you go through a stage like, okay, well, what's going to happen now? And, you know, and then I saw this very bright light on the horizon, and a ship showed up and stopped. All I had left was my whistle. I heard the sound of a engine, a launch. I couldn't see it, going to where the last flare had been dropped, which is bringing them right in front of me. And I thought, well, if I can hear the launch, maybe they'll hear the whistle. And I blew it so hard, I really thought I was just going to rip my cheeks open. And that's what they homed in on. And so they came, they threw me a line. I got into the launch. Hours later, I was in Pearl Harbor.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Flyway.